the fret. I'll do it on the fretted because that's more. Well, the first step is to pick. So I'll give a scale across one string. So just do a series of exercises across that. So maybe do up, skip a note, and go to the next note. So. And then maybe do a loop. Da 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 da. And then do the opposite. Right? So stuff like that, and then you get to do more intricate examples of that. Maybe try to do up, maybe try to do 3 or 4 notes off one slide. So you really want to know what notes you're targeting at. So I wasn't randomly sliding between notes. If you want to do an arpeggio across one string, or just you can. Yeah, the metronome. Never don't practice without the metronome. Under only if you're writing something, or literally, unless there's like a metronome shortage in the world, and you don't have one. Always have a metronome on. It just will always. When you play with other musicians, it'll just make you better. Especially as a guitar player, the mechanics of strumming is terrible for rhythm. It's the worst. Because the downstrokes and the upstrokes are such a different thing. So we have the crappiest time. I had to stop myself. We have very bad time as guitar players. So if you have good time as rhythmic timing, it'll be very good. That's something that's good. Also, one thing, have fun while you're playing. As you can tell, this is really fun. We're playing lines at each other and making faces and quoting theme songs and stuff like that. So when you're practicing, try to be as perfect as you can and everything like that. But when you're performing, you gotta be having fun. You don't want to be staring at your shoes. You want to be up there, just enjoy who you're playing with and all that stuff.
I gotta ask you, where this passion for Arabic kind of Middle Eastern vibes came from, and what is the thing with the slashed neck over there? I know it's quarter tones. Half quarter. What you have on your guitar.
Oh.
Quarter tone thing that slides to half.
No, this is just I can play quarter tones because it's fretless, but this one's fretless. But quarter tones is actually, there's no such thing as a quarter tone because a quarter tone is based on a half step. And in Turkish music or Persian music, you don't have a half step. So it's not like a quarter tone. So if I'm going to play in Turkish minor second, like this is not a perfect quarter tone. If I played a quarter tone, that's not authentic. If I want to play it's slightly less than a quarter. So. So it's not quite a quarter step. There are different ones. There's about 9 different spots you can hit between one half step. If I just want to go between, that's one half step. I go. There's 9 distinct points that you can end on between one half step. Yeah, that's just so I can tell how flat or how sharp I want to be. Indian music at first was the first one. Yeah, I heard a lot of Indian music, and it's just got from Indian music, and I was like, okay, this is really. And then I grew up listening to, my grandma would always be playing Slavic dances and stuff, and I didn't really realize, but those are in 7 and 5 and stuff like that. So I always grew up hearing melodies, stuff like that. So just doing that, and then it's all such great music. Then from the Indian music, the Turkish music, and Turkish music is unbelievable. And it's like, where's that come from? Then Persian music, and from the Persian music, it's Central Asian stuff. So it's just like each system it's different, but they're all very similar and related. So it just they're all also very improvisation relevant. We like to improvise a lot, and these musics give us the opportunity to really like improvise without it being like either playing over. In the West, you have that, or you can be playing over jazz changes and stuff. But sometimes, this gives it not to sound like a hippie, but there's more of like a spiritual feel to this music, and that's something we all have different things that we follow, but that's something that's very important to us. So like, it kind of makes sense.
A question for Jeff about your right hand technique.
Oh, John.
John,
Yeah.
sorry.
Americans and their 4-letter J names.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You sometimes play very intense. So I would like to hear how you incorporate this intense playing and still be very accurate and not getting the hand too tired. What do you do? Where do you play?
Well, there's a lot of things that I can say about it. So one is first get the basic technique down. Like I slap a little bit differently than other people. And like with the right hand, so you have like your fingers and they sort of are going to fall into the body. A lot of people say you shouldn't do that, and I just highly disagree. Sorry. Have that fall in. And what that does is it makes it for your plucks on the way back. Your fingers actually act as like sort of an anchor. And it provides just a little bit more support than having your fingers just kind of free floating like this. Because most people kind of do that, and it actually makes your hand a little more dense. It's like a little more weight to it that way. You're actually, you don't realize it, but you're tensing up, and it's causing, causing your hand to not be able to play as fast because it's a little more, it's like a rock then, where you want it to be sort of like, free floating sort of. So what you want to do is, relax your hand completely and then just have it fall into the note. So you see, my thumb isn't even moving. It's not the thumb that's, doing this or anything like that. It's the whole wrist is just falling on it, just like that. And then the pluck, the fingers are in the body. The fingers aren't going very far. With your fingers here, your hand can't go anywhere past this. If it's like this, your hand is going to go like that, And especially if you have even an ounce of ego in which everybody does, but you know how it looks when you're playing slap bass and you see dudes like Fieldy or something like that, and they're like, yeah, look at that shit, And it's not bass playing at that point. It's, look at how awesome I am, So this is not a sexy way to play, but it's the most economical, I think. So, you can do... Like all that, if you watch the right hand, it's not going anywhere. Like it's not going far. It's actually, it's based on just minimal effort. Like experiment with how light you have to do this. Because sometimes, if you do that, you're still gonna get it's gonna be a little louder, but you're still gonna get a pluck sound out of it, which is cool. Same thing with the thumb. If you're beating the crap out of it, there's no need to. You could just let it fall, and you'll get a slap sound out of it. And the other thing I'll say about it is, if you want to play that kind of stuff, it depends on your instrument and the strings you use and stuff like that. Like I use a very light gauge string because I want to be able to, catch up with this guy. So I need to be able to, if I want to comp a line that he's doing and do a unison with him, I need to be able to, I have a bass that's designed to play this kind of music, So really thin strings. The strings are very close to the fretboard. as close as they can without it, not hearing a note when you play it. And then, like Gabe said before, just a ton of time with the metronome. Like live with it. It's your roommate. Like a lot of time with it.
Another thing, in finger style, when there are parts you want to be really loud, you play things like that.
Yeah.
Instead of like that. So, where is the line that you put to yourself not to pass before getting too tired or?
Oh, I get too tired all the time. It's really. I wish you didn't ask that. I mean, the cool thing about this project is, like Gabe said before, it's having fun. Like you just go for it sometimes. And if Jeff is playing something like he's going nuts, doing some double bass stuff, I'll dig in a little bit more. During that time, I might flub a couple notes, and I might get tired really quickly, but. It's very just reactive, If he's doing something or another person you're playing with is doing something and you think it's awesome, you just go for it. Just let go, and you don't think about your technique. You don't think about, oh wait a minute, that was cool. Now what's the most economical way I could do this? Like it's all works in less than a millisecond. It's just reaction. So I would just say, go for it. Just try. And the more you play live with people in that kind of setting, in like a just free reign, improvisational setting, your body will develop the intuition to know when to do it.
Sure. And to add to that, the reactive thing, that's something that we do a lot. Like if you could tell in that last solo, it sounded composed. He was doing a pull-offy part on the string. Immediate reaction was to go. He did harmonic. It was immediate follow with the harmonic. When you're playing with someone, you never want to force them in your direction, but if they're going in a cool direction, it just go that way. So our solos are totally different every night. If anyone has seen us these last couple of shows and then saw us this night, it's today, not night. It's all different, and that comes from the fact that I'll take a pause, he'll play something, I'll jump on that. He'll be soloing, we'll go with that. You know what I mean? So it's all you want to, as you're playing with people, learn their bag as much as you're working on your bag, because if one person sounds great, then the band sounds pretty good. But if you all sound pretty good, you sound great. That's really the way it is. So like the most important thing is that if I'm soloing, I'm not viewing it as, okay, I'm playing over them. We're playing together. I may be playing the lead voice at that time, but what they're playing is just as important. And like going into a solo, I try not to have any preconceived notions. If I want to do this, then I want to do the sweep picking line that's going to be badass, and then I'm going to end with this. It's like, okay, I'm going to start this, I'm going to hold a note, and if he goes in a completely different direction, I go that direction, because that forces you to actually improvise and not just play lines, So really, like, if you're in a band or just in general, learn things that are out of your comfort zone, because then you'll just immediately have just a deep bag that someone does something and you know what to do. You can do the opposite of it and have it fit, or you can do the exact same thing and have it fit,
Yeah, one more thing I'll add to that also is something that musicians often overlook, especially when you're studying music, is I think the most valuable tool you have while you're playing is your ears. You always want to be listening. There's so many times, myself and I'm sure everyone probably in this room, where you've been playing and you're thinking, oh, here comes this cool thing that I'm doing. Well, while you're thinking of that, you're hearing your thought instead of hearing all the music. And you might miss something that someone else does, or you might miss an opportunity to react to something a certain way. So there's been situations where I'm having a bad night or something's just not feeling right, and I just keep thinking certain things, and I'll just remind myself, listen. And a good thing that you can do is try and listen to everyone else more than what you're playing. And when that happens, you can really kind of settle into the music, and your instincts kind of take over. Like I'll be listening to these guys and not even thinking about what I'm playing, and then surprise myself. All of a sudden, the instincts take over, and you just do something that was never planned. You haven't worked on it before, and it happens. And on that note, also, try not to think, "Oh, that was really cool," because then you get caught back in it, and you start thinking again. So just to try and always use your ears and listen, and those thinking that way has gotten me through a lot of opportunities where maybe I wasn't, I've played with a lot of different groups. I just started playing with these guys, but certain situations where maybe you didn't have enough rehearsals, or you weren't prepared enough, or you don't know the material, you can really be surprised just by listening how much you can really fit in and like settle into the music instead of kind of sounding separate from it. So it's really important just to always remember to be listening to the people you're playing with, and especially sometimes more than what you're doing too. It's helpful.
Consider the source.